Alright guys, such comic again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Shotzzy tells all as to what happened over the last couple of months to get to this point where OpTic dominate back-to-back events, and the roster mania world is an absolute chaos as teams trying to form rosters that are capable of taking down the green wall next season. Shotzzy reveals when he knew the Mercules pickup was going to work spectacularly to the extent that Kenny finds himself in an increasingly difficult position. Very much interested to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Now we're going to talk about Kenny in the coming minutes. Before we get there, wanted to discuss a couple of lineman cards, but also this interesting rumour. Now, I will say, I don't know where these new little source accounts are coming from to really know how much validity to read into this, so take it as you will. But this guy says that the two teams that are rumoured to be considering the OMiT teams who attached the other day said that there's an org out there that is considering signing the full OMiT roster, that being, of course, Vivid, Mac, Craze, and Mamba, as a quartet. Now, it's not something we've really seen before. Los Angeles Guerrillas have messed around with it on occasion, picking up, a bunch of guys from challenges that have had some success together, but a team just picking up a full challenger squad. Look, they made the bracket at the World Cup. They bombed out, but, it wasn't really a bomb out. That's probably a bit harsh. They beat FaZe to make it to the bracket. They got to the bracket. It didn't go to plan, but, it wasn't an absolute disaster for them, and beating FaZe was commendable, to say the very least, knocking them out of the tournament in 12th. Craze and Mamba looks like a pretty damn good duo. A lot of their teammates this season got picked up from challenges. They didn't yet. And then Vivid, we know his history, right? If you drop him, things go south. And Mac is an event winner in his own right. So it's a good team. Is it good enough to keep together as a quartet for these rosters? It's a very interesting conversation because the Vancouver Surge, they made 4 finals this year with Neptune, Nastie, Abuzah, and O4. All of those guys are free agents now. It doesn't seem like they're going to be able to hold on to them. I mean, I would have thought maybe Surge would have at least tried to keep maybe 2 of those guys around. Maybe they will, but as it stands, it looks like those guys are going to be going somewhere else, getting better opportunities. A lot of players, I don't think they necessarily want to be based out of Vancouver, so that is one thing to consider. And those players just, it seems, getting better offers from other teams at the moment. Neptune, obviously, I'm sure has got to be in conversation somewhere. We talked earlier today, O4 to FaZe. Could that be a thing? Abuzah has been linked to Thieves. So, and obviously Nastie's not really been linked too many places yet, but you'd consider him to still be a pretty hot prospect on the free agency market. So that's the Surge piece. It would be a real tough time for Surge fans, having had a year where they got so close, and maybe it'll never happen for them again, at least for quite some time. The team that I thought was more likely to be linked here was Rokkr, and apparently G2 Rokkr, they are in the conversation. Now, I will say, Rokkr still have Estriel. They've got rid of Geo, Nero, and Kenny. They're gone, total free agents. Estriel is still under contract. So would they get rid of Estriel as well to sign these 4? Would they keep Estriel and replace one of the guys here? It's an interesting conversation. What do you guys think in the comments below? What would you do if you were in their position? Now, let's talk about some lineman cards. These were Preds cards on the season. Didn't really play that much this year. He was obviously around at the start, then he was around towards the end, but it's not like Falcons particularly made it deep in many of the tournaments. But yeah, he still put up an 88 overall card, although some would question the impact behind it. These were Purge's cards. I think, honestly, Purge's numbers, I mean, look at his overall. It doesn't look spectacular, 75 overall, but, for Purge, given what he does for the team, 0.93, 0.91, 0.92 in all the modes, that's pretty much what you're hoping for at a Purge, and I think he had a very solid season, and I would not be surprised to see him and Snoopy back again as a duo next year. This was Real's card. Of course, with Rokkr on the team, there weren't too many kills to go around, but he definitely had a solid year. Is he going to get linked somewhere else? I mean, let's not forget there were those rumours about Real potentially going to OpTic mid-season, and Real to Toronto before the season began. Is that going to happen now? Probably kind of unlikely. Is he going to go back to Heretics? Possibly, but he's got good English, maybe he could be an option. If we want to go one step better than that though, Rokkr had a mega year. He was actually purple in first blood rate in search, online, overall, and very nearly on LAN. One thing just quickly to note, just the way these cards are made and why the numbers sometimes look a bit out of whack. So the SMGs are compared to other SMGs. The ARs are compared to other ARs. Whether you think that's fair or not, maybe we'll change the way that the numbers and the stats work at some point. But the point is, if there were loads of terrible ARs, which there were this year, like there were lots of ARs that just weren't doing anything on the map. So it kind of boosts some of the other ARs. So Beans, for example, his numbers wouldn't probably have been that high, but there were just plenty of ARs this year that were very weak. And as a result, if you weren't bad as an AR, if you were above average, your numbers start to look really good. Whereas there were a lot of SMGs who were really impactful this year. So someone like Huke finds himself for an SMG kind of a little bit more mid-pack in some of the stats. So anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there really to explain why we see some of the things that we see. But what we also see is this, and yeah, it's pretty crazy, I'm not going to lie. Scrappy's card this season was a 99 overall. The most insane stat on this, by the way, so the way that these work is the numbers are based on the best 2 stats out of the 3 for each game mode. In Control, Scrappy on LAN this year was best kills per 10 for any AR, best damage per 10 for any AR, and best ticks per round. So he had 99 for ticks per round as well. But that is grayed out because the other 2, I've never seen that before. I've never seen a 99 grayed out because the other 2 stats were also purple. Absolutely wild. His overall card was a 99 as well. We've seen it before. We might well see it again. If he teams with Cellium next year, we're probably not going to see it again. And that is the big question right now. What roster that they could potentially put together? I saw Viper threw this out there. Scrap, Neptune, HyDra, Cell. What do you guys think in the comments? I'm sure we're going to discuss more in the coming days. But I wanted to get through some clips here because there have been lots of entertaining ones over the last couple of days. And Shotzzy has said some rather fascinating things. Now, he also commented on this rumour. If you guys remember, aBeZy said it, others have said it, that Drazah and Kenny are looking to team together again as a duo. Could they reunite as a trio with Envoy, the team that won the World Championship with Octane back in 2022? Maybe. Would that be a good idea? Maybe, but I'm not so convinced. You know, time moves on, times change, things that used to work maybe don't work again, stuff like that. You guys know how it can be sometimes. But Drazah and Ken as a duo, Kenny says, or aBeZy said, sorry, that they're stupid for doing it. They're both being morons. Kenny then called him, well, you know what he called him, and then Shotzzy's given his take on it as well. So a few clips in the last couple of days. Shotzzy talking about Ken and Drazah. We've got Octane talking about Kenny and his future. But also Shotzzy with a few words on the OpTic team, the impact the Mercules had on their roster, and not just the level of impact, but also when he realised that Mercules was the truth, when he was different gravy to what Sky's brought to the table. And, you know, it was a difficult season for OpTic and for OpTic fans, obviously, who were sitting there thinking, damn, like, you know, our ARs aren't delivering. Kenny's having a hard time. Sky's having a hard time. You know, is that just how it's going to be with OpTic? Is that the way the team is, that one of the ARs is just going to have a difficult time? But it turns out that was not necessarily needing to be the case. Mercules came in, dropped some sensational numbers at the end of the season, and Shotzzy realised this when they scrimmed against Rokkr. Famously, at the time, of course, the team had Kenny on the roster.
RJ actually might be
how are WC scrims? They were good. They were, yeah. I mean, they were. We kind of just picked off where we left, to be honest.
Plebeians, bro. Here he fucking goes. Yo, Ernie,
Okay.
you taking a
The only
trip
team that was like somewhat like shooting back, I guess, to an
maybe in like
extent
a
was
couple months.
fucking
bro.
Did we play against LA Thieves?
If
I'm
you're
pretty sure
ever
LA
gonna
Thieves
play,
we
hit me
like
up. I know some
tied, I
spots.
think. I think.
Good spots, like some good food spots.
And then Seattle we also tied.
Okay, but I'm gatekeeping.
like that.
But I'm gatekeeping.
Or no, actually I think against Seattle we actually lost them.
Mace, bro. If we're gonna be honest, the whole root of everything happening right now is all Mace. Like, bro, if it wasn't for Mace, you know what I'm saying? None of this happens. In a different world, we play with skies, and you know we get back-to-back 12s. No, I'm trolling. Chat, I'm trolling. Caesar, I fucking love you, bro. I love you, bro. But nah, seriously. Can the Zach team? What do you think? I'm not surprised, to be honest. I'm not surprised at all. If they get 2 good sub players, they'll actually be good. I feel like the whole Ken thing is like recency bias, bro. Like, just because you got one bad year doesn't mean like that like, I don't know, just people just like look at it like that because it's like the only thing to like go by. But like, I just know how it is as a player, bro. Like that shit does not matter. When did you realize the roster was diffy? That's a good question. I think, believe it or not, our first map that we played, dude. Not even trolling.
Happy to take those fights. Happy to take those.
I will never forget that feeling, bro. Our first match with Mace was Vault, playing against Rokkr. I'm pretty sure we like 30-point clubbed him. He fraud, or yeah, I mean everyone fried. Everyone fried. It just felt natural, bro. No bullshit. Yo, Zook with the tier 1, thank you, bro. Not more so like us just slamming them bad. It was just more of like the comms, the correct feeling, and like, yeah.
Two of his teammates were in the respawn screen. Eco's in trouble. Bound has just now revealed himself to the...
Is it over for Ken? Ken's a player I haven't put much thought about, actually. Ken's a hard player to think about in this situation. I feel like Ken hurt his stock a lot this year, which sucks. Obviously, you know, biased, but I feel like Ken hurt his stock a lot. There's a lot of players that hurt their stock this year. But I feel like Ken's just going to be on like a competitive mid-pack team, I think. And unless he gets like a really crazy opportunity to go play on like Falcons or something, but I think he's just going to be on like a higher mid-pack team for this coming season. Oh yeah, the reunion. I saw people saying that too, that Dill, Zach, and Ken should team again. I did see that. People hated that idea. People fucking hated that idea. Nah, that's what I was thinking too, Chris. I don't think that Ken and AG would team again. I feel like they went through hell being on that OpTic team.
Is Octane right about where Kenny goes next? Is it going to be to kind of a middle of the pack team with some upside? What I find interesting is that Kenny, you know, he definitely wants, I think, to stay in Texas. He likes where he lives right now. One of the benefits of teaming with the Rokkr guys on Rokkr is that they're based out of Texas. Other teams are not necessarily, as we know. And for some teams, that may well be worthwhile to consider that. But it's one of the other reasons why Falcons can be an attractive prospect, because they're going to pay you well. They're going to pay a buyout if necessary, presumably. And also, they've got an unreal facility in the heart of downtown Dallas. So that's something to think about, because a team like Vancouver Surge, that may not be the case. Even for Thieves, it wasn't necessarily going to be the case. Gentlemates are a team not to count out either, because they do have some resources to invest if they would like to. And they also got their team based out of Texas this year. So there are a few options really that the teams need to consider. But would Kenny end up on a team like that, maybe with some upside and some decent talent around him, maybe with Drazah there as well? I think there's a good chance that does happen. I think Kenny's stock did go down this year for sure. Among the fans, among the pros, I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a different story. But unfortunately for Kenny, this story was to some extent at his expense. And unfortunately for Rokkr fans, they continue to get kind of clowned on. So yeah, he basically says, Shotzzy, that when they first spawned in with Mason, Mercules, they just immediately absolutely slammed Rokkr. I mean, it goes to show... This is why we've been calling Mercules an industry plant, right? Like, it's almost unbelievable how impactful he was able to be immediately, and just how he just so perfectly fit with exactly what OpTic and maybe even Toronto, when they had him in, required at the time. So they spawned in against Kenny's Rokkr, and it's funny to think about what Kenny was thinking here, right? Because Kenny had been on this team earlier this season, had been dropping horrific numbers in that role, thought his controller was broken or his game was broken or something, because, you know, maybe it was to some degree, I don't know, people have got theories on that. But at the end of the day, Kenny left, maybe before he was dropped, then he goes to Rokkr, their team's doing okay, but not really any better with him in the team than it was before. And then he spawns into a scrim with OpTic's new AR. And at that point, it was Huke in the team, and Kenny had been there with Huke, Shotzzy, Dashy earlier in the season, as well as one of those roster iterations. And Kenny's just got to sit there and get 30-point club by the guy who, has replaced him. Kenny must have had some thoughts about that, to think, like, damn, like, was I terrible or whatever? Like, Kenny's not terrible. He's still a phenomenal player, I think. And I think he's going to come back stronger next year. But just goes to show that in that moment, Mercules was absolutely the fit for that roster that they needed. And they did play at Major 4, actually, with Mercules. And it wasn't an absolute bloodbath. It actually was more competitive. The game one was a 250-153. Game 4, the Hacienda, it was a 250-235. So, it was a 3-1 in the end. Rokkr won the control. Overall, Mercules had a 1.14 this series. Kenny was about even. So, but yeah, it was interesting at least to look back at this and see, well, how things were going in practice, and then how things actually translated into reality. What does that mean for next year? Very good question indeed. Where's Kenny going to end up? What are OpTic going to do? Very much intrigued to your thoughts, as always, on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.